I used to think betrayal would feel like an explosion. Loud. Devastating. In reality, it's quiet. Cold. It seeps in like water through a crack you didn't even know was there. It was a Thursday night. I'd spent the whole afternoon preparing for Lana. Cleaning, cooking, setting up a cozy dinner. She said she had something important to tell me. I thought maybe, just maybe, she wanted to talk about our future. Marriage. A house. Kids. All those dreams we used to talk about when we were broke college kids sharing a beat-up couch. Instead, she walked through the door with a smirk. I slept with someone else, she said, not even bothering to sit down. The words hit harder than any punch. I didn't react at first. I couldn't. My mind scrambled, trying to process what she had just said. Maybe I heard wrong. Maybe she meant something else. But no. Lana leaned casually against the counter, like she was sharing office gossip. 3 times, she added. I needed a real man. The doorbell rang. I didn't move. Just stared at her. She smiled wider, knowing the wreckage she was causing, and went to answer it. Jake, Liv, Derek, Marissa, our so-called friends, came pouring in, laughing and chatting like this was just another Thursday night gathering. But the second they saw my face, something shifted. Their laughter became awkward. Forced. Lana turned to them and told them. They nodded. Shrugged. Liv even gave her a sympathetic hug. It hit me then. They knew. They had known. For how long? Weeks? Months? And none of them had said a word to me. Jake, who used to crash on my couch when he had no job, had the nerve to say, Look, man, you've been kinda checked out lately. Things happen. I laughed. A single, hollow, broken laugh. Without a word, I grabbed my keys and walked out. Didn't yell. Didn't cry. Didn't ask why. I just left. And outside, the cold air swallowed me whole. I didn't go back. Not to the apartment. Not to the life we built. Not to the people who smiled in my face while hiding knives behind their backs. I slept in my car that night. Parked 3 blocks away from the apartment, curled up in the driver's seat, staring at the empty, black sky. The city around me buzzed and blinked like nothing had happened. Like my whole world hadn't just collapsed in a single conversation. At some point, my phone started buzzing. First Lana. Then Jake. Liv. Marissa. Even Derek, the coward, who once swore he'd always have my back. 32 missed calls by morning. I turned the phone off. Let them panic. While they were busy wondering where I was, I moved methodically. I shut down our joint accounts. Canceled the rent autopay. Rerouted my mail to a P.O. box. I wasn't just leaving Lana. I was erasing myself from her life. I didn't rage. I didn't scream. I didn't play into the show she wanted. Silence was my weapon now. By noon, I found a cheap motel by the highway. Dingy. Faded carpets. Stale air. But it was perfect. No memories here. No betrayals baked into the walls. I sat on the lumpy mattress, staring at nothing for what felt like hours. No TV. No music. Just silence and the low hum of a cheap fridge. It wasn't just the cheating that gutted me. It was knowing that everyone who was supposed to care didn't. They sat around and watched her destroy us. They probably cheered her on when I wasn't looking. I thought about texting back. About asking why, or how could you? But every time I picked up my phone, I remembered her smirk. The way she delivered the news like she was doing me a favor. And I put the phone down. If they wanted closure, they could choke on the silence. That night, Lana posted a picture on her story. A sad selfie. No caption. Just a broken face for her followers to pity. Classic. I almost laughed. Almost. Instead, I cracked open the cheap motel window, breathed in the freezing December air, and let it burn through my lungs. I wasn't heartbroken. Not anymore. I was cold. Empty. And for the first time in years, I realized maybe that wasn't a bad thing. Because a storm was coming. And I was going to be the one who started it. Day 3 of being gone. By then, Lana's posts had shifted from sad girl selfies to strong woman quotes. You know the kind, pixelated backgrounds, cheesy lines about healing and moving on. It was hilarious, honestly. She wasn't healing. She was crumbling. The real giveaway? The messages. I'd skimmed them once or twice, more out of morbid curiosity than anything else. At first, they were full of rage. Accusations. You're acting like a child. We can work through this if you stop ignoring me. I don't deserve this kind of treatment. Then they softened. Please. Just talk to me. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I miss you. Finally, by day 4, they became full on pleading. I can't sleep without you. I made a mistake. I panicked. It didn't mean anything. Please. We can fix this. Just come home. Every word reeked of desperation. I didn't reply. Not once. It turns out silence isn't just a weapon. It's an entire war. Every day I said nothing was another day, she slipped closer to madness. The apartment? She kept posting photos of it. Little shots of my side of the bed still untouched. My jacket still hanging by the door. As if that would lure me back. As if guilt was a hook I'd bite. Meanwhile, Jake and the others were quiet. No texts. No calls. Probably realizing their golden ticket, Lana's shiny social life, was crashing without me holding it up. I wasn't planning to stay in hiding forever. No. This was the eye of the storm. I needed to rebuild. Slowly. Patiently. Set my life up away from the ashes she thought she left me in. First, I opened a new bank account. Then, a new number. A new email. Clean slates across the board. I found a tiny one-bedroom rental above an old bakery on the east side of town. It wasn't much, but it was mine. The landlord didn't even ask too many questions. Just handed me the keys and told me not to burn the place down. Fair enough. I worked overtime at my job to keep busy. Mornings bled into nights, and sometimes I slept in the office just to avoid thinking too much. But at night, when the world was quiet, I would stare at my ceiling and wonder. How long could she survive without an audience? How long before the mask slipped completely? Because I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. I wasn't going to just leave. I was going to make her wish she never smiled when she betrayed me. By the end of the first week, Lana's life was starting to show cracks, real ones, not the fake, I'm thriving facade she tried to plaster over the ruins. She posted fewer photos now. No motivational quotes. No fake brunch selfies. Just recycled memories from months ago, trying to hold on to an image already slipping through her fingers. It was time. Time to let the truth breathe. I wasn't going to blast her on social media. That would have been too easy, too messy. No, I wanted it to seep through her carefully curated life like poison. Slow. Inevitable. I started with her closest circle, the one she leaned on when she wanted to play the victim. Danielle was the first. Danielle used to be Lana's best friend. The one who called her out when she drank too much. The one who noticed when Lana flirted too hard with strangers at bars. The one she slowly pushed away once she realized Danielle wasn't a pawn she could control. I sent Danielle a single text. You deserve to know. Attached? A few choice screenshots. Lana's confession about sleeping with another man. Her mocking voice note saying, he'll forgive me. He always does. I didn't add commentary. No begging. No bitterness. Just the truth. Danielle didn't respond right away. But within a few hours, Lana's social media started hemorrhaging followers. Jake and Liv? Still silent. Probably scrambling to figure out which way the wind was blowing before picking a side. Cowards. Meanwhile, I quietly messaged a few others, mutual acquaintances, people who had seen me and Lana at our best and never would have believed I was the villain if they knew the real story. I didn't send everything. Just enough. Enough to spark doubt. Enough to crack the perfect image Lana had built over the years. And it worked. The invitations she used to flood her weekends dried up. Her comments section, once filled with heart emojis and "Yes, Queen," went suspiciously quiet. I heard from a mutual friend that Liv privately confronted her. Rumor was, Liv didn't know the full story. Lana lied to them, too. Said it was one mistake, a drunken error, that I emotionally abandoned her first. Typical. It didn't matter anymore. The damage was done. The house of cards was tilting. And I was only just getting started. By week 2, Lana was scrambling. The last time I checked her profile, she'd wiped almost everything. Deleted old pictures, unfollowed half our mutual friends, and posted a blank black square with some vague caption about healing from betrayal. The irony could have killed me. If anyone had betrayed anyone, it was her. But narcissists don't heal, they just shift blame. Meanwhile, word kept spreading. Danielle, bless her stubborn loyalty to the truth, wasn't keeping things private anymore. I didn't ask her to. I didn't need to. All it took was one small group chat, one leaked voice memo, and the whole rotten story started leaking like a busted pipe. People who had smiled at Lana's stories were now ghosting her in real life. The invites dried up. The double taps and heart comments stopped. Even her favorite place, the bar she used to parade around like she owned it, suddenly felt cold. I didn't have to be there to know it. I had become the ghost in her house. The shadow over her life. The silence that screamed louder than any accusation. Jake tried reaching out once. I got a text around midnight. Bro, we didn't know how bad it really was. Can we talk? I let it sit unread. He didn't deserve an answer. Liv posted something passive-aggressive about not taking sides in private matters and how people are allowed to make mistakes. It didn't land the way she wanted. The comment section chewed her up. Turns out, loyalty looks a lot different when receipts are involved. Meanwhile, Lana started doing what cornered animals do, lashing out. She started demeaning my coworkers, mutual friends, even my own sister, spinning news stories. Now she was the victim of emotional abuse. I had neglected her. I had pushed her into someone else's arms. The desperation was so obvious it practically bled through the screen. But I stayed quiet. No counterattack. No public posts. Just silence. Because the more she spoke, the guiltier she looked. And soon, there would be nowhere left for her to hide. I wasn't rushing it. I was enjoying every second. Because some storms aren't about how hard they hit. They're about how long they last. And Lana's storm was just beginning. If Lana thought she could lie her way back to safety, she underestimated how deeply I understood her. She didn't just need friends or followers. She needed validation. Someone to tell her she was still the good guy. Still the pretty, clever girl who deserved sympathy. That's where the man she cheated with came in. His name was Evan. I'd never met him, but I knew enough. Bartender at some half-trendy place downtown. Instagram full of mirror selfies, tattoos, and quotes about living life without regrets. The type who called himself an alpha male unironically. The irony still makes me laugh. From the fragments Lana let slip before the explosion, I pieced together that Evan was a casual thing that got out of hand. Someone who made her feel alive when I was boring. Her words, not mine. Problem was, Evan wasn't single. He had a fiancée, and from the looks of it, she was sweet. Young. A woman who still believed that love meant loyalty. Her name was Leah. I found her through Evan's social media. It wasn't even hard. Photos of them together littered his page. Engagement ring, beach trips, matching tattoos. Lana must have thought she was the only one Evan was lying to. Big mistake. I debated for a few days. There was a moment, a real one, where I thought, maybe I'm dragging too many people into this. But that passed quickly. Why should Leah live in a lie, the way I had? Why should Evan get away clean, while Lana played the victim? So, I sent Leah an anonymous email. Short, direct, proof attached, photos, texts, voicemails, nothing mean, no accusations, just the truth, raw and bleeding, in her inbox. It took her about 2 hours to reply. Thank you. I needed to know. That was it. No drama, no tears, just a quiet shattering on the other side of the screen. I heard later, through one of those mutual connections that still liked me, that Leah broke off the engagement within a day. Packed up, moved out, blocked Evan everywhere. Apparently, Evan didn't take it well. And guess who he turned to when his life started falling apart? Lana. Except Lana, drowning in her own sinking ship, couldn't save him. Two broken people clinging to each other in a storm of their own making. It was almost poetic. Almost. Because I wasn't done yet. I still had one last card to play. The one that would tear down the last, desperate walls Lana had built around herself. And when I played it, there'd be nothing left standing. She called me. For the first time since the night I left, Lana actually dialed my number. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail instead, shaky, breathless, trying to sound composed. I know you hate me. I know what I did was unforgivable. But please, just let me explain. I feel like I'm dying, and I can't take the silence anymore. You don't have to forgive me. Just talk to me. Please. I listened to it twice. Not because I missed her. Because it was the most honest she'd sounded in years. It confirmed what I already suspected. She wasn't sorry for what she did. She was sorry she lost control. The silence had become unbearable. She couldn't spin the narrative anymore. Couldn't paint me as the bad guy when I refused to show up for the script. And that terrified her. So I gave her a gift. An invite. I put out word, indirectly, of course, that I was hosting a little celebration. Something casual. People assumed it was about my new place, maybe a new job. I let the rumors swirl. People like Lana and her crew hate not knowing things. They hate mystery. It makes them feel left out. Of course she showed up. Of course she brought her fake smile, her new haircut, and her "you never broke me" energy. I stood at the center of the room with a drink in hand and waited until the noise reached that perfect hum, when everyone was loose, buzzed, laughing. When no one expected a thing. Then I tapped my glass. Silence. Thanks for coming, I said. I know people have had questions about what happened, about where I went, so I figured I'd just clear it up. I pulled out my phone and hit play. The speaker filled the room with her voice. The clip I'd saved from that night. I slept with someone else. 3 times, actually. I needed a real man. Gasps. Shuffling. Eyes widening. And then the second clip. The crying voicemail. Please, just talk to me. Please. When it ended, I looked right at her. She was frozen. Pale. Everyone else stared at her like they were seeing a stranger. I raised my glass to letting the truth speak for itself. Then I walked out. Didn't wait for questions. Didn't wait for her meltdown. I let her drown in the silence she used to weaponize. Because now, she wasn't the victim anymore. She was the show. And everyone had just seen behind the curtain. I didn't stay to see the fallout. Didn't need to. By the next morning, my phone was a war zone, messages from numbers I didn't recognize, from people I hadn't spoken to in years. Some shocked, some apologetic. A few trying to stay neutral with the classic, there's always 2 sides. Yeah, but only one side had receipts. Danielle messaged me as simple. I'm sorry I ever doubted you. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. That was never the point. Later that day, I heard from Noah, my old roommate and one of the few people who knew everything from the start. He'd shown up to the party late, just in time to hear the last audio clip. He said Lana just stood there, mouth open, frozen, like her soul had left her body. Liv left first. Said she didn't sign up for drama. Derek followed, tail between his legs. Jake tried to play peacekeeper until someone asked, Wait, did you know? Silence. He left too. In less than 15 minutes, she was alone. Exactly how she'd left me. By that night, her Instagram was wiped. Twitter gone. Facebook locked down. Like she was trying to disappear from the wreckage she created. But the internet never forgets. Clips of the audio made their way to Reddit. A few people shared vague recaps on TikTok. My friend's ex exposed a cheater at his own party and walked out like a legend, and suddenly, there were strangers cheering me on. I didn't ask for fame, but poetic justice? I welcomed it. And Evan? Turns out his problems were only beginning. Leah, his ex-fiancée, took the proof I gave her and sent it to his employer. Apparently, their company has a strict, no inter-employee relationships policy, especially ones that involve clients and deception. He was fired within days. Lana lost more than her social circle. She lost the backup plan, the real man she had gambled our relationship for. Now she had nothing but an empty apartment and the echo of her own voice saying, I needed a real man. Funny how that works. But I wasn't dancing on her grave. Not yet. Because there was still one thing left I needed to do. Not for revenge. For myself. A week passed. No more calls. No more DMs. Just silence. And for the first time in a long time, it wasn't heavy. It was peaceful. I didn't feel broken anymore. Didn't feel like I was holding my breath, waiting to see what mess would come next. The chaos had passed. The smoke had cleared. And all that was left was me. I took some time off work, packed a small bag, and drove out to a quiet cabin upstate, a place I used to daydream about visiting with Lana back when us still felt real. It was cold, stark, completely silent except for whine through the trees and the crunch of gravel under my boots. And it was perfect. Out there, away from the noise, I realized something. I had been in love with a version of Lana that never really existed. The woman I cooked for, dreamed with, fought beside. She died a long time ago. Maybe she never lived at all. Maybe I just saw what I wanted to see. That realization didn't break me. It set me free. I sat on the porch with a cup of coffee and stared at the frozen lake, letting the cold burn through the last of the anger. I had survived her. Not just the cheating. Not just the humiliation. I had survived being someone's second choice in my own story. Back in the city, I got one final letter in the mail. Handwritten. No return address. I didn't have to open it to know who it was from. But I did. It was short. I never expected you to forgive me. I just hope someday you find someone who sees you the way I never did. I didn't deserve your love, and I hate that it took losing you to understand that. I'm sorry. For everything. Lana. I stared at the page for a long time. Not angry. Not sad. Just still. Then I folded it once, walked outside, and dropped it into the fire pit. Watched the flame eat her words until they were nothing but ash. Because I didn't need her apology. I didn't need anything from her anymore. This wasn't her story. It never was. It was mine. And I was finally ready to move on. A lot can change in a year. People forget that healing isn't some dramatic movie montage. There's no soundtrack, no moment where you look in the mirror and suddenly feel whole again. It's slower than that. It's waking up one morning and realizing you didn't think about them yesterday. It's hearing a song that used to gut you and just humming along. It's walking past a restaurant where you shared a memory and not needing to cross the street. It's peace, not fireworks. After everything, Lana, Evan, the party, the silence, I rebuilt quietly. My apartment above the bakery became a home. The old man downstairs would bring me leftover croissants in the mornings and eventually started calling me kid. Even though I'm 31, I started running again, got back into reading, went to therapy for a while, not because I was broken, but because I needed to understand why I let myself shrink for someone who never truly saw me. I started dating again, too. Slowly, cautiously, not looking for revenge or rebound, just connection. Then one night, about 11 months after the storm, I saw her again. Lana. I was out at a bookstore downtown, grabbing coffee. She walked in alone. Different hair. No makeup. Eyes heavy like she hadn't slept in months. She saw me. Paused. I nodded once. She smiled, barely, and nodded back. That was it. No confrontation. No forced apologies. No need for closure. We were two people who had shared a story. And then closed the book. She didn't follow me out. Didn't send another letter. And I didn't feel the need to look back. That night, I called the girl I'd been seeing for a few months. Told her I was ready for something more serious. She smiled through the phone and said, "Took you long enough." I laughed. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for something bad to happen. I wasn't waiting to be betrayed. I wasn't healing anymore. I was just living.